A couple years ago, I would say this is probably back in 2014, 2015, I was in California. I was in Mountain View, California, and I was at Google's headquarters. I was at the Googleplex, as they call it, right? And what's funny is that I was at a conference. I was at a conference called SMX, which is like a search engine marketing. It's about SEO. It's a big conference about SEO and paid ads and all that type of stuff. And Google sponsored the whole thing, so they had an after party at the Google complex. So I was there, and I was with one of the original guys that worked for us. He still works for me. His name's Jordan. Anyone that's on our team, give me a wave if you know. If you guys have worked with Jordan, you probably have. If you're a client of ours, because Jordan's been with me since 2012, 2013. But anyway, Jordan and I were at the Google complex, and we're just kind of walking around, and we see this really long line of people, and they were walking across the Google complex, and they all had badges that were like speaker badges, right? So it was like the speakers of the conference that we were attending. So Jordan and I were just kind of walking around, and we're like, I don't know, what do people do when they see a large group of people doing something? They follow along. So Jordan and I just kind of tagged along, and we ended up hopping in line with all of the speakers from the conference. And little did we know at the time, we ended up in this secret meeting at Google. It was the craziest thing. We go in this room. They lock the door. They shut the door. There's probably 50 people in the room. It's this big auditorium at Google. And they shut the door. Google had their lawyers there. They had their HR people there. They had PR people there. It was really, really crazy. They were basically giving out a lot of exclusive information to the influencers at this party. Now, at this point, I had never filmed a single video. I was very, very far from an influencer. I just somehow, by dumb luck, got into the room. And you know what's funny is that actually, I don't know if you knew this, but 85% of people in their life will commit corporate espionage. It's a little fun fact. But anyway, so we're in the Google room that we're definitely not supposed to be in, and they told us a piece of information that changed my business and the businesses of my clients for the next, I don't know, I mean, what was that, 6 years ago? So it's continually changing. Actually, it was longer than that. It was 2014. So like, what is that, 8 years now? So who wants to hear the single piece of information that I learned in that room, a secret of Google that I still use to this day, and it still dictates and gets clients for our clients? Unmute yourself and say me if you want to learn that secret that I learned.
Me.
Here's what I learned. This is what I learned. Google is not trying to return a list of results. I'll say that again. Google is not trying to return a list of results. When you search personal injury attorney, criminal defense attorney, family law attorney, divorce lawyer, they are not trying to return a list of results. They are trying to return a list of answers, right? A list of answers. And when you understand the difference between a list of results and a list of answers, then you understand how to game Google. Right? Now, Performance Max is a major, major opportunity because when you understand that Google's goal is not necessarily just to return a list of results, but actually to return a list of answers, then you can understand why they're using Google Performance Max. In addition to, they had 98% of their inventory that wasn't being used, but more importantly, they can understand that if you enter the term car accident lawyer, or criminal defense lawyer, or DUI lawyer, or divorce lawyer, or whatever the term is, they understand that inevitably you have certain questions that are going to accompany that query, right? Nobody just types in criminal defense lawyer and has zero questions. Like, has a client ever come into your office and been like, no, I don't have any questions, here's your money?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, because everybody has questions. Everybody wants answers to their questions, right? So if you understand the motivation of Google, if you understand the motivation of people, Zig Ziglar says that if you help enough people get everything that they want, then you will get everything that you want. Right? So it stands to reason that if you help Google get what they want. Now, what does Google want? Google wants users, right? And how does Google get users? Google gets users by when people come to the search engine, they do a search, and they find what they're looking for, right? Now, most of the time, people don't even know what they're looking for. Most of the time, you have to spoon feed what people actually want. They say DUI attorney, but Google understands that they're really looking for, how much does a DUI lawyer cost? Do I need a DUI lawyer? What if I took the breathalyzer? How do I not lose my license? How do I protect my reputation? These are all things that people want, And Google knows this just based on the fact that they typed the term DUI lawyer, right? And what's amazing about this is that Performance Max now makes it so easy for you to couple all this content with what Google thinks and actually knows people actually want. Bill, how many touch points did you say Google has? 500. And no, it's millions, right? Aren't there a million pieces of data? Okay, 72 million audiences, right? So Google has some data, right? Unmute yourself and say data. If you know that Google has some data on you, Google knows more about you than your mother does. You know? So
Data.
So that's the cool thing is that the good news is that it's really easy to give people what they're looking for. But the bad news is that now it's really easy for everyone to give people what they're looking for, right? It's a good news, bad news situation, because if you can do it, then guess what? Your competitors can do it as well. But here's the interesting thing. When everybody's doing the same thing, you have to either do something better or you have to do something different, right? So this is where messaging comes into play. It used to be participation. I talk about follow-up systems and all that type of stuff. Unmute yourself and say follow-up system. If you've ever heard me say that you need to put in a follow-up system for your law firm, have you guys ever heard me talk about that?
Absolutely.
It's the most important thing, guys. If you put a follow-up system in place, you will increase your leads by 50%. I promise you.